Morning, guys. I know you can see me and hear me now because I'm using my iPhone. So we're going to bypass the computer and all that stuff, and let's just go with what works this morning. Going to talk about the software plugin that I use on all of my voiceover audio. But first of all, thank you for being here. Take a second, if you don't mind, to check in on the live stream chat. Let me know your name, where you're watching or listening from. I hope you guys had a great weekend, and to all of my friends here in the U.S., I hope you had a wonderful Labor Day weekend. Labor Day, it's such an interesting time of the year. There's so much going on. School back in session. We're wrapping up vacations and knuckling back down into the workaday world, and baseball's in its final weeks. College football started this past weekend. NFL season kicks off this coming Sunday. Voiceover work, which typically, at least for me, slows down a little bit in the summer, is picking up again. So, some new stuff going on. It's an exciting time of year, and I hope things are going very well for you. Well, I want to talk to you about something to help your audio, your voiceover audio. It's a never-ending quest, isn't it, for perfect audio? And I think there's something in the back of our heads that tells us that if we can just figure out there's just one little thing out there that we must not be getting, because if we did, it would change everything, which is not necessarily true. I mean, but there is no doubt your audio needs to be good. It needs to sound really good. It needs to be clean, clear, pristine, articulate, all the things that make clients want to lean in and hear more. So you need that. Now, how you get there, that's a whole other discussion. But one thing that I wanted to share with you is a software plugin that I started using several years back, and now I use it on everything. And it has helped out tremendously. And it's, as a matter of fact, well, you can find it on waves.com. This is not a sponsored video. They're not paying me to say this. I get nothing for this. I'm just sharing this with you because it's what I use. And I think it's a tremendous plugin. It's called X Crackle, X Crackle at waves.com. You can pick it up for like 29 bucks. It's an interesting plugin. It was developed for the purpose for people who are taking their vinyl record collection and transferring it over into the digital domain, and they want to clean it up and get a lot of that snap, crackle, pop, that you get with vinyl, to make it as clean and clear as possible. That's what the plugin was created for. Now, interestingly enough, Waves has also developed a plugin to add that snap, crackle, and pop of vinyl back into pristine, clean, clear recordings. Sometimes we humans don't know exactly what it is we want. I'm fascinated by this whole thing because if you've been around long enough, you'll remember. I mean, you grew up listening to records on record players, and then in the '80s when digital audio and CDs came along, it was like, wow, you could begin to hear things you could never even hear on records before. And I remember reading reviews and music. Reviewers and giving critiques on music and listening. They were talking about how awesome this new digital technology was, that the way it was so clear, they could hear everything. And I was excited. I've always loved digital audio. But then it was like, then there was this wave that grew up that said, no, it's too sterile. Digital audio is too sterile. We need to get back to the way it used to be. And it's interesting because it brings up an important point, because we respond emotionally to audio. This is a little bit of an aside, but maybe it'll help the bigger picture make sense to you. We grew up listening to audio, and music that we listen to imprints itself on us beginning at around maybe age 12 or 13, up until our later teenage years, 18 or 19 years of age. And that 4, 5, 6 year window of audio, the music that we listen to at that point, tends to shape what we listen to and like to listen to. It becomes our frame of reference for the rest of our life. Doesn't mean that there's no other music that we'll like, but the music that we listen to, it's formative for us because we're in very formative years. Emotionally, we're growing, and music speaks to us at a deeper level. And so again, it imprints itself on us, and we always compare things to that. So for those of us who grew up listening to records, that's what we heard. And this new clean audio is like a whole foreign kind of a thing to us. And the thing about it is, it's not even so much how much what it sounds like, it's the way it makes us feel on a subconscious level. Because you get back into that older audio, you've got things like harmonic distortion and saturation, and you don't need to understand what all that is, but the frequencies of the music are different. It not only sounds different, it feels different. Those tubes, those glowing tubes in like guitar amplifiers and other equipment, it creates a different, people call it warmth. It's a different sound that, again, if that's the music that you were that imprinted itself on you in those early years, that's what you seek again. So now software manufacturers are creating plugins that emulate all the stuff that we tried to get rid of 3 or 4 decades ago. They're trying to make it sound like it did several decades before that. So if there are aliens in a distant galaxy someplace observing us through their high-powered telescopes and listening in, they must find us very amusing and entertaining. It's like, what do these human beings want? But back to not NS1, I'm sorry, X Crackle, X-Crackle by Waves. What it will do is it takes out snap, crackle, and pop of digital, or I'm sorry, of record-like sounds in audio. One day I was experimenting with it on my audio, and I found out that it did the same thing for my audio. There's like an what's it called? Not Crackle, X Clip, or not X Clip, but X Pop. Is that it? X, I don't know. But anyhow, what it does is it's made to take out mouth noise, to help with mouth noise. Well, I like X Crackle better because it not only helps to take out some mouth noise, but there's a harshness. Sometimes when we speak, we don't hear it, but in the recordings, there can be a harshness that's created through the EQ, through the compression that we use. And when you use and I encourage you to at least test it out, do a free test drive of this demo, because it will allow you to click a button where you can hear the difference between your audio untouched and also what it's going to take out. So, and if you listen to what it's going to take out, depending on how aggressively you set it's just two knobs, how aggressively you set it, it sounds like an old staticky transistor radio. That's what it's taking out. And it's subtle, but the final product is smooth. It's a smoother sound. It's like if you've ever worked with wood and sanded wood, and you start off with like a coarser, grit sandpaper, and you're sanding down this rough wood, and finally get down to a finer grit to where that wood just becomes like buttery smooth. That's what X Crackle plugin does to audio. Check it out. I use it. It's the last thing I put on everything that I do. It just gives it more of a finished, mastered type of sound. It won't fix every problem you have. It won't take out every mouth noise that you make. That's not what I'm saying. But what it does is it gives a final finish, like this fine grit sandpaper to wood, like nothing else that I've ever heard. And I use it on everything. So I highly recommend it. Check it out. All right. And let's see here. Let me see if I can navigate the live chat on my phone here and see it okay. Hey, Rob, how are you doing in sunny San Francisco Bay? Hope you're doing all right. Hey, Chris, good morning. Janet in Florida, Phil in Tokyo, Greg in Asheville, North Carolina, Ty in Warsaw, Indiana, Corey in Whitehall, Wisconsin. Bob, how are you doing in Reidsville, North Carolina? Melissa in San Diego, Terry in Texas, MG in North Carolina. We've got Super Bob in Nashville. What's going on? Sandra, Dallas, Fort Worth. Jack in Phoenix. Mike in Spanish Fort, Alabama. Tanya in steamy South Philly. Sebastian in East Sussex, England. Bill, how are you doing in Boise, Idaho? Denise in Long Island. Dan in Clarkston, Michigan. Gregory in Ringgold, Georgia. Andrew in Des Moines, Don in Charleston, South Carolina, Rusty in the UP of Michigan, Dave in New York City, Ralph in Cedar Falls, Iowa, Jason, Kearney, Nebraska. Hey, Jeff, how are you doing? Wally, what's going on? Merrill says, I bought X Crackle and still can't figure out how to use it. I think I need Alex. Yeah, Meryl, here's the thing. It's the great thing about X Crackle. It's two slider Well, it's graphic, it's software. It's not hardware knobs, but like two slider pots. One is the threshold, like at which point, at how loud do you want it to kind of kick in and start working? And the other is how aggressively do you want it to pull back the noise that it hears? I have both of mine set at like 75. So it's like moderately aggressive on both ends. And so you might want to start with that as a reference and then and then just listen. Push it hard enough to where it starts to, you can tell that you're using it. If you can tell and it's starting to take out bits and pieces, it's too much. So you go to it's too much and then you pull it back a little bit. You want to use it as aggressively as you can without it affecting the quality of your audio in a negative way. Hey, Bob in Wadsworth, Ohio. We got Claire. I'm so excited to work with Alex on my sound. It's been my biggest fear to really begin. Oh, Claire, fantastic. Sandra in Westerville, Ohio says, "Go Bucks!" Yeah, I almost wore an Ohio State T-shirt today, but I thought, let's go with baseball. Even though the Reds just are sucking it up right now, that's a whole other conversation. Also, figured out how to find email addresses to market. Fantastic, Guy. St. Louis, Matt in Central New Jersey, Terry, how are you doing in Falston, Maryland? Let's see here. We've got Jules, how are you doing in the UK? UK is well represented today. Appreciate you guys being here today. Ron, Wave Rider, likes that one from Waves. Dewan, New York City, Jack. Yep, check it out, Jack. Hey, Rob from the main mudroom. Hope thanks. Your studio away from home. James in Humble, Texas. Dean in Lake Elsmore, California. Steve in Maine, also. Charles in Washington, D.C. We've got Lola in Halifax. Lori in Fond du Lake, Wisconsin. Stephen, how are you doing? Eric, good morning to you. Hey guys, have a great day. Thanks for being here. Check out the plugin, X Crackle, waves.com. See what you think. Talk to you later.